Okay, what's that? And welcome to You Have Real Estate with me, attorney Justin Clark. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, seasoned investor, or even looking to sell your home, this next 30 minutes is designed just for you. Think of it like hitting multiple open houses, all from your living room, though with my attorney advice throughout the way. If you have any questions whatsoever during the show, I have people standing by to answer them. All you have to do is call the phone number on your screen, 407-205-0400. If you want to start your house hunt for that dream home this weekend, Dallas Lehman with You Have Mortgages standing by at that very same phone number to get you pre-approved. No one's going to show you that dream home until you get that pre-approval letter. Dallas will do that just for you. Great show on tap today, but first, the opening statement. As our year winds down and a new year begins, I reflect back on 2020, and I think about my own personal best decisions that I made when it comes to real estate. And unequivocally for me, it was my decision to go solar. I love it. Number one, look at my electricity bill in 2020. If you compare it to the year before, during the summer months, I was paying $500 and $600 a month for electricity. This year, down to $50 to $60 a month. I saved a lot of money. Maybe the biggest benefit, though, that I received was the IRS bill that I got. And I tell you, if you think that you're going to be paying any money this year to the IRS, you need to watch this show, because I was going to have to stroke a check for $10,000 to the IRS at the end of the year. But because I went solar and because of that solar tax credit, I had to stroke a check for $0. I saved $10,000 all because I went solar. Also, I'm glad I did it through IQ Power Solar. Let me tell you why. They are not just going to put solar on your roof. What they did to my house, they came in and did a full energy efficiency audit. So they came in and looked at the insulation in my attic and all sorts of other energy efficiency issues that I had in my house, which I think if I hired a different solar company, I don't think my electricity bill would have gone down so much, because they would not have done this audit with all of the electricity issues that I had in my house. Also, I needed a new AC at the same time, a new air conditioning unit. I got a quote, $13,000, another quote, $15,000. I did it all in one package where I got solar and an AC unit with nothing out of pocket whatsoever, all for a very low monthly payment that I'm making. And if you compare it to what I was paying electricity before, I'm still paying less with the payment for AC, solar, and my electricity combined. So thankfully I did. It was a great, great decision. But I would be careful as well, because there are a lot of solar companies that are popping up right now. I've seen a lot of people who've gone from real estate to solar because it seems like everyone's jumping in the solar game. You need to be incredibly careful who you choose to handle solar for you. And we will answer that question by asking real questions. Every Saturday here on You Have Real Estate, I ask real questions to the truly trend-setting people in Central Florida's real estate community. Today on the show, happy to welcome back a guest who really saved me a lot of money this year. That is Stephen Bader, the COO of IQ Power Solar. Stephen, welcome back. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Let me get right to the IRS tax credit that I received. Saved me $10,000 personally. Thank you for that, first of all. I mean, it really saved me from having to stroke a check to the IRS for $10,000. Had I not gone solar, I would have had to stroke that check. However, people are coming to me saying, well, you know, Biden won the election, so the solar tax credit is going to get better. So I'm not going to go solar now. I'm going to wait till Biden gets his feet wet a little bit, and I know he's going to increase this solar tax credit. Is there some truth to that?
Well, there's two ways to answer that question, and neither of them, lead to making sense to withhold going solar, right? So the simple way is this: if Biden does increase the tax credits, let's just go with the simplest theory. Sure, okay, let's say he increases it to 35-40%. That'll happen in 18 months. So if you think about it, on a basic math, on a $30,000 system, you might save an additional $1,700. But to get there, you're gonna have to waste another $6,000 in the power bill. So basic math, without getting too deep, it doesn't make any sense at all. The real answer, though, is I don't think that people understand what actually happens when there are aggressive government incentives, okay? And it's not, it's just an imperfect understanding of the chain of events that happens. I started my solar career in New Orleans, Louisiana, right? I lived in Florida. I started as a consultant for this company 11 years ago. I went back and forth to New Orleans because there was a 50% state credit in addition to the 30% federal credit. What I saw there, it scared me, right? It was a double-edged sword. I fell in love with solar, and I became a sponge. I wanted to learn everything. I was studying environment. I was pre-law at the time, studying in environmental biology. My professor let me do one of the research papers on steamboat natches there in New Orleans, and I just fell in love overnight. But what I saw was it was concerning. So what happens is companies come from all over the country. They flood in, okay? Then the first thing they do is soak up local contractors because local contractors have local licenses. Next thing you know, local contractors are, they're too busy. So the cost goes up, and I'm not talking about 10%. The cost to install went up from $3 a watt to $5 a watt. So in reality, guys, if Biden wants to give you a crazy incentive, 50% tax credit, that does not mean you're going to pay half. You're going to get a 50% tax credit on a system that's 160% more expensive. That's just a simple math, right? And they're going to make it easy. The financing will get more sophisticated. They'll do longer terms. I mean, they're already doing 25-year terms. They'll give you, the consumer, a low interest rate, but they're charging the contractor 25, 26%, which means you're still paying for it because the contractor takes that fee and puts it on top of the principal balance because they can't afford, to cover that. So be careful. Every little domino that comes into play, it knocks one down somewhere else.
I actually fully agree with that. So even if the tax credit is increased at some point, I think the overall cost for you is going to increase, even with the increased tax credit. But also, Steve, think about this. We're going through some weird times in our country. Obviously, they're trying to pass a new CARES Act. It's a lot of things going on. How long, even if he is going to increase the tax credit, how long could it take them to do that?
Well, it depends. It depends on if they supplement some of the current administration's rhetoric, or if they overturn it, or if they just create something different. It depends how sharp and how swift they are about it. But I'll tell you, I'd say 6 months to a year and a half. 6 months is extremely, positive. But they're likely going to let the 22% run out and then speculate. And there could even be a window of time where there's no tax credit. But let me tell you, during that time, that I don't know period, companies are already engaging their exit strategy. They're not going to stop because of a maybe. So not only are you going to have an unknown promise that will take an unknown amount of time, so the time horizon's unclear, but at least 60 to 70% of the companies currently selling in Florida will not be in Florida anymore, which means it's a very cookie cutter pattern that there will be, only 3 out of 10 businesses left, right, which in the state of Florida, that's a lot more than you think, that are gone, because right now in Central Florida at any given time, there's 150 solar companies, and less than 10% of them employ more than 10 people. Right. What that means is they're just sales models. They're just companies that have a business card, a Facebook page, but they really have some company out of Georgia or Utah that install. Those companies will all be gone. They'll all be out of Florida, and which means there'll be less people installing, which means they'll be too busy, which means the cost of installing goes up.
So let's say that I want to get the 2020 tax credit, okay? But yet we're going into the new year already, which it goes down to, I believe, 22%, you said.
Correct.
Is there something that you can do to our audience here to ensure we still get the 2020 tax credit rate of 26% as opposed to 22% or possibly zero, because we don't know what's going to happen from here? Anything that I can do for you to ensure me I get this 26% from 2020?
So we took 3 weeks and really did our due diligence on this, including meeting with our attorney, but we wanted to make sure we did it in a way that was legal and was protecting the consumer at the same time as protecting us. But we do have an offer. anyone that calls within the next 10 days and sets up an appointment to meet with us. Now, they can meet with us in 2 weeks, but if they call us within the next 10 days, what we're going to do is IQ Power will give you the other 4%.
Yeah.
So, because right now it's 26%,
Yep.
right? But at the end of the month, it goes down to 22%. Now, the reason we had to meet with you, the attorney and everything, is because other companies will be like, oh, we'll give you $1,000 cash back. Guys, let me tell you something. I've seen a lot of contracts that offer you $2,000, $4,000, $3,000 back. It's 9 out of 10 times it's IRS fraud, right?
Yep.
You have to be very careful. You can't just jack the contract up $10,000 and give the customer, all this money back. You have to be very particular. It has to come out of IQ Power's pocket. It has to be done the right way, or you're A, not going to get the tax credit, which or B, you're going to end up in a unnecessary argument.
If you think there is any chance you are going to owe money to the IRS this year, I'm telling you, going solar is a way to make sure you don't have to stroke that check. But I understand your concern. Your concern is, well, it seems to go down every year. And even if I call right now, they might not install the solar till sometime in 2021. Could be a possibility. Yes, Stephen Bader, the IQ Power Solar, is telling you right now, as long as you call within the next 10 days, call this phone number. Write it down right now. 407-205-0400. They will guarantee you the 26% IRS tax credit. And it's not just the IRS tax credit, though. It is the saving money monthly, Steve, that was great for me this year. Is this typical that someone is going to now save money from their electricity bill every year like I'm doing?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you that you're going to see similar savings, if not more, for the next 25 years.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Justin, you're saving more than you think because, your bill might go up $5 over time when they increase rates, but most of that is you're being sheltered from. So if you didn't have solar in 5 years, your $500, $600 bill, it probably would have been $720. So your $50 bill might go up to $70.
Yeah.
But that's because the largest rate increases are applied to usage over 1,000 kilowatt hours. You're pretty much immune to that and that's why home efficiency is so pertinent. Every other company wants to go and sell you $50,000, $60,000 worth of solar panels, and that's cool. You'll be thrilled in 3 months, but I'll tell you, you're not going to get it's unlikely you're going to get the tax credit in 1 year. So it's going to take 2 years, maybe even 3 years. But also, when rates increase and you're on a credit for credit basis with kilowatt hours and net metering is disabled in 4 years, you're going to have 15 panels too much on your roof. And the grandfather clauses don't work the way people think they do. And as much as you try to protect the consumer from over purchasing solar, they like being sold too much.
How likely is it that there are going to be some sort of requirements for people in Florida to get solar whenever they renovate a house or build a house from scratch?
It's already the case, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something, and if people wrap their head around this, okay, it'll make a lot more sense to them. Solar's going on your roof whether you like it or not. It's just going to be a matter of who owns it. It's either going to be you, that you pay it off one day, or there's going to be jacked carbon taxes. You're going to get massive peak energy rate hours to where when FPL or OUC knocks on your door and says, hey, can we lease you the system, you're no longer going to have the luxury to say, let me think about it. It's going to be, yes, please, anything to help, And then they're going to have the power on your roof. They're going to have the solar on your roof. And then guess what? You're still paying an OUC bill forever. So it's not the blessing that people think it is. And if you just sit down and think for a second, and if you overcome the hurdle of, oh my God, I'm buying this. Are you really? Are you buying it? I mean, granted, you get financed for $40,000, but did you pay $40,000? And if you're paying $400 a month next month, but now you only have to pay $20, and then you have a $290 finance bill, did you really pay anything? No.
Right.
You got paid $70 a month to control your own energy future. Oh, I might sell my house in 3 years. Okay, still makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still makes sense.
And you look at states like Hawaii, who I know are requiring solar
since 2008
on virtually everything. I would have to imagine that as there are more requirements here in Florida for solar on new homes, what's that going to do to the cost?
It's not going to, and again, people think it's going to go down. Let me tell you something. You can go back to the 1776, right? Taxation without representation. Let me tell you, when the government does certain things and they start to tax you high rates for doing this, doing that, and they give you all these credits. They're basically showing you a 10-year track record in which we've made it easy for you in every way possible to avoid overusage. You didn't to take advantage of that, so now we're going to tax you. We made it easy for you. We offer to pay 30%. In some states, we offer to pay you 80%. We've offered to lease it to you. We've made credit not an issue. We've made credit an issue. You can put it in a prop. They've given you every way possible. They're not doing that because they're awesome people. They're doing it so that when it comes down to overtaxing you for carbon taxes, oh, you took a shower at 5 p.m., that's a peak hour. Hey, you can't shower between 8 and 9 or you're getting charged 30% increase. Guys, they're not doing anything wrong because they gave you a 12-year window in which there was zero prejudice to any homeowner and everyone can get solar one way or another. Now you're getting taxed.
Stephen Bader, the COO of IQ Power Solar. Now let's do this. Let's take a quick break, okay? And when we come back, how do you know that solar is right for you? Do yourself a favor. You have 10 days to call 407-205-0400. Stephen Bader is guaranteeing you the 2020 tax rate of 26%. That means when you get solar, that amount is coming off of your tax bill for next year. It makes a huge difference. Trust me, I know. When we get back to how do you know solar's right for you? Stick around. We'll be right back. You Have Real Estate continues.
We actually taking a break?
Back here with Stephen Bader, the COO of IQ Power Solar. If you'd like to ask him any questions whatsoever about solar, it's 407-205-0400. All right, Stephen, let's go here to David in Orlando. How do I know solar is right for me?
Do you have an electric bill?
Yes, let's assume he does.
Okay, when's the last time your electric got turned off for non-payment? Let's assume it hasn't. So, yeah, solar's right for you.
What do you mean by that?
Sometimes people say, oh, I can't take on another bill. It's not another bill, right? If you're paying an electric bill, you're paying for it anyway. If next month you're paying $300 a month, it's not like you're going to finance solar and add $150 to that. Your $300 is going to go to $30, and then you're going to pay $150. And sometimes, right now, a lot of people are worried. I don't know if I'm going to have a job. Okay, you're still going to find a way to pay your electric bill, right? Of course, because that's what people do, right? Men find a way. Mothers find a way, fathers find a way. They find a way to pay their electric bill. People will be 4 months later than mortgage, but that electric bill gets paid, right? So if you find a way to pay it, it's right for you.
Let's say hypothetically I don't pay my electricity bill, though. I don't pay the Duke Energy bill. They shut down my my power. They shut my power off.
Yeah.
What if I don't pay my solar bill?
Well, off the record?
Yes, off the record.
Nothing. You have a mark on your credit.
Yeah, I mean, so your credit does take a little bit of a ding, but your family's not going to be without electricity if you don't. And I'm not saying don't pay your solar bill, of course.
But if you lease it, off.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't own it, it's not yours.
What about the value of my home, Steve? Because I've heard some arguments that solar does not increase the value of your home whatsoever, and I've always looked at it such as if we have two houses for sale in my neighborhood, and my house has a $50 electricity bill, the house down the street has a $500 electricity bill. To me, that seems like it would affect the value of my house positively.
To be honest, it's hard to continue being patient with such an ignorant comment, right? It's laughable. It's literally like, if you take a Patek Philippe or a Rolex to a ghetto pawn shop, they're going to offer you $300 for the watch. It doesn't mean the watch is worth $300. It's a fact, right? So this is very simple. I understand that there isn't a sophisticated education process available for most real estate agents, and that is an issue. It's not their fault. If it's not a priority for them to be deeply educated, and there's not a metric or a handbook, per se, then where does it come from? But the only indication or the only lack of very specific factual data is that solar just picked up heavily in the last 10 years, and maybe only 5% of people that bought solar, which is only 3% of society in general, which obviously is a fraction of 0.5%, have sold their house. So that's the kind of data you're working with. But in simple terms, and guys, by the way, one of the values of being in the network with Justin Clark and Dallas Lehman and Vivian Lehman is these guys are a real estate attorney, mortgage, real estate. You don't think we talk about solar? Of course we do. So if they can help you, having the right real estate agent that understands how to explain to someone else what's on the roof is pretty helpful, because it's not disputed really. And simply put, guys, you buy a $30,000 solar system. It drops your cost of living $300 a month. That contract is federally incentivized by the IRS. That means when we pull a permit, we can't pull a permit on $3,000. If you're getting a federal incentive, you can bet that permit has to be pulled on the entire contract cost. So we pull a permit on the entire contract cost. Now, who adjusts property records? Right? So the same office that pulls permits. So if you go buy $10,000 windows, but the permit's on $4,500, that's why your property value is adjusted in the $45 range. It's based on the permit. If you go get $25,000 cabinets, but your permit's pulled on the wood of $6,000, that's why $25,000 cabinets don't increase your home $25,000. But when you buy a $30,000 solar system on a solar contract that's federally incentivized, I promise you, the property appraiser is making an appraisal based on that contract and that permit. And the coolest thing is, they cannot increase your property taxes based on that solar value increase. Now, why would that even be a law if the property tax value didn't go up anyway? It's silly. It's common sense, guys.
Yeah.
We've had realtors on this show that bought solar from us 3 years ago, sold their house for $20,000 more, bought solar again.
Absolutely. Do yourself a favor. Get IQ Power out to your house right now. 407-205-0400. Steve, let's say I call IQ Power right now. What is the next step? What happens after that?
Well, we would say, who is this?
You would answer the phone. Okay.
No, it's very simple. We talk to you, about what you want to achieve. We kind of gauge if solar's for you. And honestly, we have a very sophisticated coordination team in the office. While they're talking to you, within that 2 or 3 minutes, they're looking at your house on satellite. They're asking you about this tree or that tree. Is that still there? Because sometimes the house will be covered and they'll be like, no, those trees were taken down, But they validate the property. They pair you up with the right rep, and we have Spanish-speaking reps, and they ask you, we make sure we know what incentives. We know if you're retired, if you're military, if you're a first responder, if you're going to qualify for certain benefits. We have certain reps that are polished in all of those benefits, because some of them are intricate, and some of the ways to get a customer a deeper discount. We have certain reps for that. So that's it. It's a 3-minute phone call. We set up a time for someone to come in your home, and guys, we're doing phone quotes that are extremely accurate. I mean, we have your roof on satellite. If you send us your electric bill and answer some questions honestly, I mean, we can give you over-the-phone quotes. Maybe you have to take a couple pictures, but it's very simple. We don't have to come to your home. We have this, COVID has kind of forced us to pivot there, and it's been very effective, And if it cuts our cost by $800, we pass it on to you.
Yeah.
So.
Pamela in Orlando. I got a quote from one company for $60,000 for solar. Another quote for $40,000. How are these quotes so different, and do you think IQ Power Solar could do better?
Well, what's funny, there's some irony in the question itself. Do you think we can do better? Better than what, right? So people call us all the time and say, hey, how much for 30 panels?
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, panels are all different sizes. Some panels are 300 watts, some are 275 watts, some are 385 watts. There's no such thing as, this panel's 30, this system's 30 panels, this one's 60, the 60 panels better. Guys, solar system sizes are based on kW. If it's a 10 kW, comprised of 20 500-watt panels, that's the exact same output as something comprised of 40 250-watt panels. There's not actually 500-watt panels, but you get the point. The amount of panels is not relevant, okay? But I will tell you that most companies, they go into your house, that $40,000, $50,000 system, right, the $60,000 system, they look at your bill, they do a very obtuse calculation of your kilowatt usage, and they essentially sell you as much that will fit on your southeast or southeast exposure. That's what they do, okay? And the funny thing is, when a company that knows what they're doing goes in, if you need a $60,000 system, you're probably doing something wrong. You just don't need that, because, guys, if you have a $500, $600, $700 bill, that comes from somewhere. Unless you have a 7,500 square foot house, it's not generic electricity usage. Right. That means that your AC is working 3 hours longer. That means that your water heater's working at an extremely inefficient pace for way too long. There are very simple efficiency methods we can implement that will drop your bill down to $300 or $400 before we use solar. Producing electricity is the most expensive aspect of home energy, right? So we want to reduce before you produce. It's very simple IQ Power philosophy from day one. And the reason that's most important, if you go with that $60,000 system, you have a bunch of solar panels. Awesome. But guess what? Next year, you need a new water tank. And it's, plus tax.
What's the charge to come in and do this whole energy efficiency audit at my house?
Oh, it's absolutely free.
Free.
Of course.
So nothing at all. It costs nothing to have Stephen Bader come in, IQ Power Solar, and let's see how to save you money, not just with your electricity bill, but with the IRS as well. Steve, great job today.
Thank you.
Call him right now, 407-205-0400. They're guaranteeing you the 2020 tax credit as long as you call in the next 10 days. Excellent job today. Thank you.
And tell Pamela she can call me. I'll go over the details and tell her which one's better.
Call him directly. Most importantly, thank you for joining us here today. If you're looking to sell your home, you can also feature it right here on this show. If you want to get pre-approved, Dallas Lehman is here as well, all at the same phone number, 407-205-0400. I'm attorney Justin Clark. We'll see you next Saturday on You Have Real Estate. All right.